Alright, for today we're going to discuss topic 9, reproduction and development. Okay, wait, apa namanya? Eh, Nampak ke dah screen saya?
Yes, medium dah share
Okay.
screen.
Okay, thank you. Alright, so for this topic we have 4 subtopics. Mungkin ada kelas, okay, ada yang daripada kelas awak ni, daripada lecture awak ni dah masuk lah. Okay, dah masuk topik 9. Okay, topik 9, reproduction and development. Okay, so tapi kita akan pergi dulu untuk takat mana yang kita boleh lah. Alright, mungkin kita akan discuss sampai human, tapi saya akan sampai female, sampai male saja. Okay, sebab female ni dia punya reproductive system ni complicated sikit. So tak boleh nak habiskan dalam masa 45 minit ni. Alright. Sexual reproduction in flowering plants, these are the learning objective. Okay, the one that I highlighted is the one that we will discuss, but don't worry, I will discuss everything. Okay, state and define the terms involved in gamete formation in flowering plants. The male gamete, which is the microsporangium, okay, or pollen sac, microsporocyte, microspore, mother cell, microspore, tetrad, pollen grain, male gametophyte, generative cell, tube cell. Right, and the female gamete, megasporangium, megaspore, mother cell, megaspore, female gametophyte, embryo sac, antipodal cell, polar nuclei, egg cell, and synergic cell. Alright, so this to be continued. I will also discuss this in lecture, explain the development of pollen grain and formation of male gamete, explain the development of ovule, embryo sac, and formation of female gamete, explain double fertilization in the formation of seed. Okay, so first kita tengok dulu apa itu sexual reproduction. Okay, sexual reproduction is the creation of offspring by the fusion of gamete to form a zygote. So as you all know, gametes are haploid. Okay, gametes are haploid formed by meiosis. Ovum is the female gamete and the sperm is the male gamete. So when these two gametes fertilize, it will produce diploid zygote. And this diploid zygote will divide by mitosis to form new individual. Macam kita lah, okay, dapatlah new individual. Alright, sexual reproduction in plants. Okay, kalau dalam plants, it involve the alternation of two generation. Okay, alternation of the two generation maksudnya ada dua generasi yang alternate. Okay, dua generasi yang bergili-gili. Apakah generasi tersebut? Sporophyte generation and gametophyte generation. Sporophyte generation is generation of diploid. Okay, they are diploid plants and they will produce haploid spore. Okay, sporophyte generation, diploid plants produce haploid spore. Gametophyte generation, haploid plants produce haploid gamete. Kita ingat sporophyte produce spore, gametophyte produce gamete. Okay, for angiosperm, the gametophyte develop within the flower. So angiosperm adalah pokok berbunga. Dia punya gametophyte, okay, akan duduk dekat flower, akan develop within the flower. So this is alternation of generation. You're going to discuss this again in semester 2 biodiversity. Okay, biodiversity kingdom plantae. So this is the sporophyte generation. Yang kat atas ni adalah sporophyte generation. Okay, it will produce spore, megaspore, mother cell, microspore, mother cell. Okay, and then they will undergo meiosis, and then they will enter gametophyte generation, which is the haploid generation. Okay, this gametophyte will produce gamete, okay, which is female gametophyte here. Okay, this is the female gametophyte and the male gametophyte here. Right? Okay. Next, kita pergi kepada structure of plant, reproductive structure flower. Okay, I won't go in details. Okay, you can read on your own. Just because you already discussed this during secondary school, so it just overview for you. Okay, you study lah sendiri. Tapi nak cakapnya, okay, the important part, we have stamen. Stamen is male reproductive part. Okay, stamen is male reproductive part. Male. Male macam mana? Male macam ni kan. Couple is female. Tak nampak lah pula. Sekejap. Stamen is male, couple is female reproductive part. Okay, for stamen it can be divided into anther and filament. Okay, stamen it can be divided into anther and filament. Anther is the one that will produce pollen grain. Filament is the one that hold the anther. Okay, so formation of pollen grain berlaku dekat dalam ni, anther. Alright, so couple is the female reproductive part which can be divided into stigma, style and ovary. Okay, inside the ovary it has embryo sac. Okay, it has embryo sac. Okay, we have stigma. Stigma is whereby the pollen grain will landed on it. Okay, pollen grain will landed on the stigma and then it will produce pollen tube. It will grow down the style and then it will enter the embryo sac. Okay, all right. So that is the reproductive part of plant. Okay, so the development of pollen grain and the formation of male gametes. Okay, the development of pollen grain and the formation of male gamete, it occur within the anther. So formation of pollen grain and male gamete berlaku dalam anther. Okay, occur within the anther. Each anther has 4 pollen sac. Okay, if you do the cross section here, okay, this is anther. If you do the cross section, you can see that there are 4 pollen sacs. Dalam pollen sac ni ada beribu-ribu microsporocyte. Okay, dalam setiap pollen sac ni, okay, pocket ni, dalam setiap pocket ni ada banyak sangat microsporocyte. Bukan dia ada satu saja, tapi dia ada microsporocytes banyak. Okay, so this microsporocyte, or you can call that as microspore mother cell, they are diploid. Okay, they are diploid. This microspore mother cell will undergo meiosis to form 4 haploid microspore. Okay, 4 haploid microspore. Each microspore will undergo mitosis to produce male gametophyte or pollen grain. Tapi dia tak matang lagi. Okay, dia tak matang lagi. Immature. Okay, immature male gametophyte. And inside the pollen grain, it has generative nucleus and tube nucleus. Generative nucleus ni lah, okay, this generative nucleus will divide by mitosis to produce 2 sperm. Okay, this generative nucleus, it will divide by mitosis to produce 2 sperms. Okay, this tube nucleus, it will produce pollen tube. Okay, tube nucleus will produce pollen tube. Right? So, for male gamete, kita panggil sebagai microsporocyte. Dia kecil. Microspore. Okay, microsporocyte, microspore. Right? Okay. And this pollen grain is made up from exine, the outer layer, and intine, the inner layer. Okay, exine ni dia like lebih tebal. Okay, exine ni lebih tebal. Sebab itulah kalau dia dimakan oleh pollinator, contoh pollen grain ni dia dimakan oleh burung contohnya. So katalah burung tu pergi tempat lain, dia boleh survive. Dia boleh germinate. Pollen grain tu boleh germinate. Sebab apa? Dia ada exine. Okay, dia ada tough protective layer. Alright. Okay, this is the development of pollen grain and formation of male gamete. Okay, based on sentence lah. Okay, each pollen sac has diploid cells called microsporocyte or microspore mother cell. Each microsporocyte undergo meiosis, forming 4 haploid microspore. Each microspore divide once by mitosis, forming a pollen grain that contain 1 generative cell and 1 tube cell. Okay, pollen grain become male gametophyte when the generative cells divides to form 2 sperm. Okay, so dia akan jadi male gametophyte apabila generative cell ni dibahagi, bukan dibahagi, ialah divide by mitosis to form 2 sperm. Kenapa ada 2 sperm nanti? Untuk double fertilization. Okay, untuk double fertilization. Alright. This is development of ovule. Sekarang kita dah masuk kepada female. Okay, development of ovule, embryo sac, and formation of female gamete. So what we're going to discuss first is development of the ovule. Macam mana ovule ni daripada mana dia? Ni ovule. Macam mana dia boleh grow? Macam mana dia boleh develop? Kita nak discuss yang ni lah. Okay. Alright. Development of ovule. Okay, kalau kita tengok nucellus, kita ada perkataan, kita ada term nucellus. Nucellus is formed from the placenta of the ovary. Nucellus. Nucellus, then it will divide, forming the ovule mass. The outer layer of nucellus develop into 2 layers of integuments, but leave a little opening called micropyle. So dekat outer layer ada micropyle. The ovule is attached to the placenta by a short structure called funicellus. Okay, so based on gambar, this is nucellus. Okay, this is nucellus. Nucellus divide to form 2 layers of integuments, layer 1, layer 2. And it has micropyle, tiny opening at the integuments called micropyle. Okay, tiny opening, macam tiny hole, okay, lubang kecil je, micropyle. Okay, dinamakan sebagai micropyle. And then we have funicellus that will hold the, okay, that will hold the ovule. Okay, the ovule tu akan attach at the placenta of the ovule called funicellus. Okay, so micropyle ni kalau awak tengok dia ada lubang kecil kan. Kenapa? Sebab apa? Sebab nanti pollen tube nak masuk situ. Okay, pollen tube nak masuk situ. Pollen tube nak masuk and then dia akan discharge the 2 sperms. Okay, dia akan riliskan 2 sperm nanti. Ada gambar tak? This one. Okay, ni. Pollen tube masuk and then dia akan release 2 sperms. So dia akan masuk kat mana? Dia akan masuk melalui micropyle tu. Okay, this is the micropyle. Right? Okay. Saya tak ada pun gambar ni dalam lecture, saya tambah lecture note. Okay. Alright, so kita pergi kepada, itu adalah ovule. Sekarang kita nak cerita yang ni. Macam mana dia boleh form embryo sac ni? Macam mana embryo sac yang ada 8 nuklei ni boleh form, boleh terjadi. Okay, kita nak cerita yang tu. So, development of embryo sac. Okay, development of embryo sac. So, the term, tengoklah sini adalah ovule. Okay, ini adalah ovule. Embryo sac yang tu. Yang dalam dia ada 8 nuklei. Okay, so jangan confuse lah. Kata kalau soalan keluar, apa namanya? Soalan keluar soalan exam. Awak tahu ke exam format macam mana? Tahu dah ke format exam macam mana?
Tak tahu.
Tak tahu. Tak tahu Saya pun tak berani nak cakap. Saya pun tak tahu. Saya pun tak berani nak cakap. Masih dalam, mungkin ada beberapa lah pensyarah yang dah tahu tapi saya tak tahu. Pensyarah-pensyarah yang senior lecturer tahu kot. Okay. Nanti mungkinlah akan diupdate tapi memandangkan ada yang macam saya survey tutorial saya semalam, ada yang balik, ada yang tak balik. So macam mungkin itulah hybrid lah kot. Okay, ada yang buat kat rumah exam, ada yang buat dekat college, tak tahulah macam mana. Okay, apa-apa pun akan diberitahu. Saya pun tak tahu. Okay, so embryo sac, female gametophyte. Okay, term yang kita guna adalah megasporocyte. Kenapa mega? Sebab dia struktur dia besar lagi. Okay, megasporocyte. Megaspore. Okay, so what happen is, okay, kita nak cerita dalam ni macam mana satu ni boleh jadi 8. So megasporocyte, which is the diploid cell, it will undergo meiosis to form 4 haploid megaspore. Okay, it will produce 4 haploid megaspore. And the 4 haploid megaspore, daripada 4 tu 3 akan degenerate. Okay, 3 akan degenerate. Maksudnya dia akan kecil-kecil lepas tu hilang. Okay, dia akan habis macam tu. 3 akan degenerate, hanya 1 saja akan survive. Dia macam nak bagi space lah. Dia tak ada reason lagi tau. Dia tak ada, setakat ni saya baca there's no specific reason why the other 3 degenerated. Okay. Mungkinlah, okay, tapi ada satu paper ni cakap mungkinlah dia nak bagi space kepada satu megaspore ni nak produce 8. Okay. Sebab katakanlah semua 1, 2, 3, 4 megaspore ni, dia semua dia akan undergo mitosis produce 8. So banyaklah space dia, nukleus dia banyak lah, 32 lah. Ada banyaklah egg cell kat situ, so tak nak. So, sebab itulah dia degenerated. Okay. So the surviving megaspore, it will undergo mitosis 3 times. Kalau sekali mitosis, berapa daughter cell? Berapa sekali mitosis, satu mitosis berapa daughter cell? Right. Berapa? Sekejap, berapa sekali mitosis berapa daughter cell? Berapa daughter cell dihasilkan? Chapter 3 ni.
2.
2 kan? Alright. So kalau mitosis kali 2 daughter cell. Kalau 3 kali? Berapa?
6.
6? Tu tambah berapa ni? 2 tambah 2 tambah 2 tambah 2 berapa?
14.
14?
8.
Astaghfirullahaladzim guys. 8 lah. Kan? 8. Mitosis 3 kali macam ni. 2 of 3, 3. Kalau 2, 5. Berapa? Sekejap. Itu kalau dalam term maths ni kita panggil sebagai apa Kalau macam 2, 3, 8. Kalau 2, sekejap. 2,
25, 32.
25, 32. Kalau itu apa kita panggil
2 kuasa 5.
2 kuasa 5 je lah.
Power.
Tak adalah
Power.
spesifik pun. 2 to the power of 5 macam tu. Okay. So kalau satu mitosis dapat 2, so bila dia buat mitosis 3 kali, dapatlah 8. Okay, dapatlah 8 nuklei. Okay. Itu yang specialnya kalau untuk embryo set. Kalau si pollen grain tadi ada 2 saja nukleus dia. Alright, so development of the embryo sac occur in the megasporangium. Only one cell enlarged to form the megasporocyte. The diploid megasporocyte undergo meiosis to form 4 haploid megaspore. Only one megaspore survive, the other 3 degenerate. The surviving megaspore divide by mitosis 3 times, 3 kali tanpa ada cytokinesis. Sebab itulah dapat satu sel yang besar tapi ada 8 haploid nuclei. The cell then develop into female gametophyte called embryo sac. Okay, after cytokinesis, the embryo sac consists of 8 nuclei within 7 cells. So 8 nuclei tu awak kena tahulah apa dia punya nama. Awak kena tahu label. Okay, label tu kena tahu. 1 egg cell, 2 synergic cell, 3 antipodal cell. Antipodal cell ni sampai sekarang tak tahu function At the center of embryo sac ada 2 polar nuclei. Okay, so kat mana dia punya location tu kita tengok. Okay, kita tengok ke daripada gambar ni. Okay, 2 synergic cell. This is 2 synergic cell. 2 synergic cell will located at the micropyle. Mungkin nanti kalau ada soalan ke dia akan jadi terbalik kan. Dia katakanlah ada soalan keluar macam ni and gambar tu suruh you label. Tengok mana satu micropyle. Cari micropyle dulu. Cari micropyle so awak tahu dekat micropyle ada 2 synergic cell, 1 egg cell. Synergic cell ni dia macam protect dia akan protect egg cell. Okay, dia akan protect egg cell. Then kita ada 2 polar nuclei at the center and the 3 antipodal cell. Okay, here 3 antipodal cell. Alright. Okay. double fertilization. Okay, double fertilization in the formation of seed. After pollination, a pollen grain absorb water and germinates. Tube cell will produce pollen tube. Okay, ini nak ceritanya lah. Okay, tube cell will produce pollen tube that grows down within the side towards the ovary. So maksudnya tube cell yang dekat sini, dia akan hasilkan pollen tube, grow down the style, pergi masuk ovary. Sini ovary dia. Masuk ovary. Macam mana dia boleh masuk ovary? Melalui micropyle. Okay. As the pollen tube elongates, the generative cell divide by mitosis, forming two sperm. Okay, so masa pollen tube elongates tu, tengah nak grow sampai ke ovary tu, at the same time, generative cell will divide by mitosis to form two sperm. And now we call that as male gamete. Now the pollen grain becomes the mature gametophyte. The pollen tube, dia akan bawa dua sperm. Dua sperm tu nak pergi mana? Okay, dah sampai ovary, it will discharge the two sperm. Masuk je dalam ni, mana dia? Masuk je dalam ni, okay. Dia akan discharge the two sperm. Maksud dia akan release dua sperm tu. Tube cell akan degenerate. Maksudnya tube cell akan hilang. Okay, dekat habis. Habis dah function dia. Dia akan hilang. Tube cell will degenerate, allowing double fertilization. Apa itu double fertilization? Ini soalan selalu tanya, 3 markah. Okay. One sperm fertilize the egg to form diploid zygote. The other sperm fuse with 2 polar nuclei to form triploid endosperm. Okay, itu adalah double. Kalau ditanya what is meant by double fertilization, one sperm fertilize the egg to form diploid zygote and the other sperm fuse with 2 polar nuclei to form triploid endosperm. Apa itu endosperm? Dia adalah tisu yang akan store food. Okay, dia akan store food. Dia adalah tisu yang akan store food. Kenapa dia nak store food? Sebab food itulah dia akan supply kepada developing seed. Okay, yang tu. Alright. Okay, this is double fertilization as shown in this slide, same as in your lecture note. Alright. Inilah akan nampak lagi clear double fertilization. Okay, this is the pollen tube. Ada soalan biomix kot keluar. Okay, nantilah you buat. Alright, ada soalan ke setakat ni? Ada soalan ke setakat ni? Tak ada. Okay, baik. Saya proceed ya. Boleh Masuk mail je sikit. Ada lagi sini. Development of seed, lepas tu kita masuk bahagian human, pergi pada mail kejap. Alright, formation and development of seed. So after fertilization, so lepas fertilization, apa jadi? Ovule will become seed. Ovary will become fruit. So selama ni kita makan buah tu, kita makan ovary dia. Okay, kita makan ovary dia. So in ovule, zygote will become embryo, and then embryo will differentiate into 3. Plumule, radical, cotyledon. Okay, dia akan differentiate into plumule, radical, and cotyledon. Alright, the triploid cell, which is the endosperm, it will serve as food storing tissue. This is endosperm. Alright, okay, so now kita tengok, inilah plumule, radical, and cotyledons. So embryo akan differentiate to become plumule, to form plumule, radical, and cotyledon. Okay, after double fertilization, the triploid endosperm cell divides and form the multicellular endosperm. Okay, endosperm akan store nutrient. Cotyledons, cotyledon ni nak bagi tahu dia attach kat mana. Cotyledons are attached to the elongated embryonic acids. Okay, below the point at which cotyledons are attached is the hypocotyl. So dia akan attach dekat hypocotyl and epicotyl. Kat situlah dia akan attach. Alright. Okay. Down, we move on to the human reproductive system. Okay, this is the overview. Overview pula. Objective. Okay, objektif untuk male sahaja. Okay, A, B, C, D. Untuk female banyak. Untuk female, okay. Untuk female E, F, G, H, I. Okay, banyak. Sebab apa? Kita ada cycle. Female kita ada cycle. Kita ada ovarian cycle, kita ada menstrual cycle. Okay, awak lahir-lahir je, awak dah ada, maksud macam mana cakap? Awak dah lahir-lahir je, dah ada lah benda tu. Dah ada lah awak punya egg cell tu. Okay, dah ada. Banyak. Follicle tu dah banyak. Ada beratus. Ada beratus ke beribu saya baca dalam Campbell. Tapi yang boleh survive hanya around 500 macam tu. Okay. Alright, so kita pergi kepada male dulu sebab male macam simple, tak ada masalah sangat. Okay, dia macam tak complicated. Okay, this is objective overview male reproductive organ, testis and the structure of sperm. Spermatozoa, sperm. Explain the structure of spermatozoa, sperm. Explain the role of hormones in spermatogenesis, GnRH, LH, FSH, and testosterone. Explain the stages of spermatogenesis and its hormonal control. So this is the one that you will discuss in tutorial. Okay, I'm going to discuss A and B. Okay, so sexual life cycle. So if we have female, this is just overview lah. Awak tahu pun kan. Female 2N, male 2N. Lepas undergo meiosis, dia akan hasilkan gamete. Female will produce egg cell, male will produce sperm cell, which is also haploid. This haploid gamete will undergo fertilization to produce diploid zygote, and then it will grow into individual, for example the baby here, and then baby tu dah besar, dia akan grow into adult male or adult female. Proses tu sama je lah, sebab tu kita panggil sexual life cycle. So the process will be repeated. Okay, male reproductive system. Male reproductive system kita male reproductive system ada testis, tubules, glands. Testis ada seminiferous tubule. Okay, tubule pula ada epididymis, vas deferens. Glands ada semivesicle, ada prostate glands, ada bulbourethral glands. Okay, kat mana sperm dihasilkan? Siapa tahu? Sperm dihasilkan dekat mana? Ya, Fizato nak cakap.
Testis.
Testis, pandai. Okay, sperm is produced as testis. Spesifik lagi kalau dia tanya, soalan tanya sperm, where does sperm is produced? Seminiferous tubules. Okay, seminiferous tubule. Lepas dia hasilkan, dia akan disimpan dekat sini. Dia akan disimpan dekat epididymis. Okay, seminiferous tubule tempat dia hasilkan, dia akan simpan dekat epididymis. Alright. Ini adalah testis lah. Okay, ini adalah testis. Okay, sini. Ini bahagian testis. Kalau kita tengok cross section testis, this is seminiferous tubule. A cross section of seminiferous tubule. So dalam testis tu ada seminiferous tubule and this is the cross section. Okay, ni dah cross section dia. So nampaklah ini kan. Okay, macam ni itu sperm kan tu. Ya, kan? Macam jalur-jalur, macam berudu tu. Tu adalah sperm. Okay, sperm. Alright. Okay. Lepas habis tu. Okay, kita pergi kepada structure of sperm. Structure of sperm, okay, kita tahu dia ada tail. Okay, tail, lepas tu ada middle piece, ada neck, ada head, ada nucleus, acrosome and mitochondria. So kita tengok start daripada belakang lah, the tail. The tail, the flagellum is made up from 9+2 arrangement of microtubule. Okay, 9+2 arrangement of microtubule. Alright. For motility or locomotion, of course, kalau tak macam mana dia nak bergerak, okay, dia adalah sel yang bergerak. Okay, so dia akan cari egg cell. Okay, egg cell. And then we have mitochondria. Mitochondria located in the middle piece provide ATP. Kenapa masalahnya nak provide ATP? Untuk bergerak lah. Okay, for the movement of the flagellum. Okay, dia perlukan tenaga untuk movement of the flagellum. Alright. Dekat tengkuk dia ada tengkuk lah. Ada tengkuk. Ni, ada tengkuk. Neck. connect the head, the body of sperm contain 2 centriole, and then at the head ni lah paling penting sebab head ni je yang akan masuk ke dalam egg cell. Okay, head ni ada apa? Head ni ada nucleus which haploid covered by the acrosome. Okay, nucleus they contain the genetic information. Okay, and then we have this one, acrosome. Okay, acrosome is the structure that is a vesicle, but different from Golgi body. Okay, it contain enzyme. Okay, acrosome contain enzyme that help the sperm to penetrate the egg. Okay, acrosome the function is the function is to penetrate the egg. Okay, dia akan tolong nanti untuk sperm ni fertilize the egg. Okay, adalah nanti dekat dalam fertilization process kita ada 4 step. Acrosome ni akan tolong dekat salah satu step. Okay, salah satu step kat situ. Alright. Okay, itu adalah structure of spermatozoa, sperm. Okay. Alright. Role of hormone in spermatogenesis, kita ada GnRH, gonadotrophin releasing hormone, tulis GnRH saja cukup, tapi make sure N kecil, FSH, LH, and testosterone. Alright, so this is the one that you will discuss in tutorial. Okay, hormones involved in spermatogenesis. So, empat hormon ni akan tolong untuk produce sperm. Okay, empat hormon ni akan tolong macam mana sperm dihasilkan. Okay, kalau tak ada ni susahlah. Okay, sebab itulah susahlah, maksudnya sperm tu tak berkualiti lah. Okay, sperm tu tak berkualiti. Ada sperm tapi tak berkualiti. Contohnya malas bergerak. Okay, contoh dia malas bergerak. Okay, dia tak bergerak lah. Okay, patut dia bergerak cari egg cell tak, tapi dia duduk situ je. Macam tu. Okay, tak ada nutrien macam tu lah. Alright. Macam tu. Okay, inilah awak akan discuss. Tak adalah banyak apa tu. Habis tu dah masuk female. Alright, ada soalan tak nak tanya? Tak nak tanya?
Tak ada.
Tak ada, okay. Kalau tak ada, okay, betul lah, just in time. Ada lagi plus minus 10 minit lah. Okay, awak boleh sampai sini saja kot kita discuss. Kita jumpa pada minggu hadapan.